turf repair, baby. So let me show you guys something. My camera's all messed up. So what we're doing is we have a nice young up and coming contractor who had a buddy that knows how to do turf. Help him out. Now on the seam, this is like an amateur mistake, and I wouldn't expect any of you to make it. But what he did was he left the carpet edging on the edge of the turf. So that is super number one amateur mistake. As you can see, that's the backing and the edging right there. Up top, as I don't know if you can see visually, but all the hairs have a direction. These are facing up and down, and these are facing left and right. I will say it again. Up and down, left and right. So the guy that was hired to help actually has installed this in the wrong direction. You can see the color variance. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull it up from the outside. We're going to carpet kick it in because he sure in the fuck didn't stretch it. And we're going to see if we can clean this thing up. This is only phase one, and I'll keep you guys tuned in as we go. So now we're cutting it expert level. 3 bead rows off, as you can see, because when you cut it on the outside of the turf, it's really thin. When you start getting into the middle of the turf, right there, okay, it gets more fluffy and you can hide the line better. So we're hoping that if we pull up this whole turf, we got enough room to kick this thing with the carpet kicker in and merge it where you can't see the line. So we're cutting it nice and slow, and we'll turn back in. So these are all the scrap pieces that we trimmed off the back side of the turf, as you can see. And we trimmed off all the back pieces so that we can make our lines more clean. When you cut a turf line and you cut a straight line, you need to cut off at least 3 to 4 beads on each side until you learn how to do the freaking S-seam. So that is our progress. So what we're doing here is we're pulling this turf back and getting out the nails as much as we can. They did not carpet kick it. It's probably hard to see from the video, but it's a little bit loose. It's a little bit lumpy here and there, which is in our case a good thing, so we can fix it. And we're gonna carpet kick it in from both sides. That's where we're at on that side. And on this side, let me show you. There's 2 inches apart. So when we carpet kick this sucker, I think and I believe that we can get 2 inches back. We are gonna fuck around and see. So we're having to pull this one back and remove all the nails. So the point is, when you pull back the turf, you're gonna kind of notice, because one part ain't moving for shit, that there's a nail there. And so what we're doing here is we're pulling back the turf, we're finding where's there a nail, alright, and we're pulling up the nail. Now when you're pulling this stuff back, you can see these little things here. Those are sand dots. It's not a weird base work, those are sand dots. And what we do is, you see him pulling up the nail there? He's getting that nail out. He actually ripped it, but that's okay. So it's okay if you rip it, really, because from the top side you're not going to see it, but if you can be more careful, try to be more careful and not rip it. You could fold back the piece of turf. If you could pry one up a little bit, and as you can see right here, there's a crease. If there's a crease where you're pulling it, obviously there's a nail right there, obviously. So that way you're going from the back side, metal touches metal, you find where it's at, pry it up, then you fold back the whole piece of turf, and you find the nail head popping up, which he actually miraculously did without folding shit back. He's better than me, so I need to go slow. He's going fast, and that's better. I'm slow, but I'm good. Anyways, when you're pulling this back, there's a bunch of sand in there, and it creates a little tidal wave that you need to brush back in symmetrically. So when you do a repair, people are like, hey, it's easy, you're just pulling it up and fixing it, put it back down. No, there's several steps to get it to be correct and proper, and to follow all those steps is, I would rather install this whole thing fresh than to do a repair on it, because it takes more time and it's more extensive. But you see we found the nail there, you can hear it. When we fold the turf back, you should see it. He's popping up. He's searching for an Easter egg. Almost got it. Got it. All right. So that's kind of the point. You see the nails sticking up to here. You can push them back in. There you go. And get them from the other side. So what we're doing here, trying to get as much room as we can, because luckily it wasn't stretched. We're going to kick it and stretch it proper, and we'll see if we can meet the gap and race to the other side. So after you pull up the both sides, the ground is going to be messed up because you have all these nail holes. So what we're doing now, even though we pulled it back, you can't just like kick it back down because there's indentations. Some nails are freaking huge. I mean, there's a number of reasons we have to repair the groundwork. As you can see, it's all messed up. That little hole right there, little hole, that's from a nail. Try to give you a close-up shot. So we're gonna take 2 rakes. We're gonna scrape it out flat and get it even again. So after we scrape it down and we make everything flat, you really want to be careful that you're not scraping your base rock underneath your little flaps right there, because you're gonna make a lump. So you gotta kind of pull it up so you make sure you don't got little piles of it sticking out, because then you're gonna have a freaking lump right here and you pulled the whole grass down and you go back and do this shit again. We're spraying it with water because decomposed granite is a quarter by dust. The quarter by dust needs water to settle. We're gonna have to tamp the whole area by hand just to make it flat, so when we put the turf back on, it doesn't have those holes from the nails and it looks good. Whoop! We are shit out of luck, senors, because old Jason, who's supposed to be the turf master, forgot his fucking hand tamper, and we're gonna have to go caveman style and fix it by hand. So we got this piece of wood and blue fine. This is wet, that's dry, because I have to pull it up a little bit. So when you pound it down, it's kind of a primitive way of doing it, but it doesn't matter because it fixes it real quick. Is it slow? So look at how tight that compaction is. Tight as fuck. Now when you do it to the other side, so you understand, you can see the base is moving. It's not sticking. Now luckily this side doesn't really need too much of a repair because the turf's just going to fall back down on top of it. So I just wanted to show you why you need water. You can see right here how we get this side down, it's sticking, and this side kind of popping up until you hit it down with the wood. My old school shit. Nice and tight. We just folded the piece over. It used to look like that, flapped over, and now we folded it over. And where we bent it at, there's a whole little mound of sand. That whole little mound of sand, you got to be careful, and you got to brush that in. If you're ever doing a turf repair that's already been sanded, you're pulling it back. When it's coming down, it looks like a little tidal wave, but it makes a little sand mound. So if you're doing a repair professionally, as a landscaping company or as a turf installer, and you got a little sand mound, make sure you brush that down, or they're going to have a bigger complaint about the finished product than they did for the first mistake. So at this point, don't worry about that wrinkle. We're going to fix that motherfucker later. We move the sides together. So we want to make sure that the little hairs are moved. Let me show you. You got to move both of them. You got to move them both and make sure that the black material, which is the backing, is exactly touching. All right. Right here, as you can see, it's exactly touching. And when you brush it, the seam is 100% gone. You can't see it. However, when you move down here, okay, it's touching right there perfect. The seam is gone. You can see the seam's gone. However, as you move down, when you get down here, now we cut it on a bead, so you can't really mess that cut up. But down here, you see, it's a little bit off. It needs a little bit more. That's the ground down there. I don't know if you can see it. It needs a little bit more. So if we just tug on this corner a little bit, just make sure. Nails can fix a lot, but you have to move both hairs out and see how far this thing is apart. If there's any kind of gaps, I'll try to get you a good shot. If there's any kind of gaps like there is right there, you have to move it up just a little bit and fix it all the way. Alright, so now that we got all the seams facing right, we're kind of just spreading the hairs and we're putting the nails in. And then also what we're doing is 18 inches back to button this thing up correctly. I'll take that one out. This base work is hard. Whoever did this base work is a fucking Superman with base work. But we're also putting in nails on the back side, 18 inches down. You gotta kind of move the hairs off before you finish it. And so we can carpet kick the rest of it down. So we want to stretch it out and fix the whole thing up, and then those wrinkles down there will disappear. You do need a carpet kicker to do turf. I don't care what anyone says. You can let it sit in the sun and install it right. If you want to take 4 or 5 hours, that's fine. Let the carpet sit in the sun if you're not in a rush. If you don't want to go out and buy a $48 carpet kicker, or who knows what the next people charge. I'm just telling you what I paid for mine. And you could just let it unwrinkle in the sun. But so far, if we can get close, you can see, but you can't see the seam anymore. The seam's gone. So mission achieved. So lines here, maybe you can see it, maybe you can't, but I'm showing you a close-up of turf repair that we just got done finishing here. And you can't see it there, but you can see it there because we're not done nailing it. We've nailed the back side back down. We had to brush in the sand with the gas-powered broom from that little sand mound that was appearing. That's why you see some of this looks like it's brushed clean. And basically, as you can see, really close, the line disappeared. Now I got a little bit of nailing left to do, but I think you get the point that you have to be careful when you're cutting seams, or you're going to have to come back in to fix it all over again. So for this episode, that's it.
Thank you.